Hello, everyone. I'm in the United States of America and in New Jersey right now with a high performance coach, Pauline Leung. She's been practicing in New York and she just did an amazing session on leadership coaching, and I attended the session. She had some really valuable things to say, which is why I kind of not really coerced, asked her if she could be part of this. And she has very, politely and generously obliged. So I wanted to start by letting her introduce herself.
Thank you so much. So hi everyone, I'm Pauline Leung, based in New York, and I'm a high performance coach and a mindfulness teacher. I've worked around the globe 19 years in the beauty industry at L'Oreal. Started as a marketing intern, became a general manager, then I transitioned into human resources. And throughout the last decade of my career, I was just practicing a lot of happiness, practicing yoga, practicing high performance science. And in my last year of my career, I really found out in HR especially that nobody's ever satisfied, nobody's ever fulfilled. And for leaders to not, I would say, behave the way that is inspiring to the team. And that for me led me to my bigger calling to now make myself a full-time coach and support leaders.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that it's such a cause-driven career path. And, when you were doing the session, that really came through. The way you were able to relate to each one of us in completely diverse fields, as well as the, everything you shared felt, it was based on happiness, individuals, and how we can better ourselves.
Right.
So thank you for that.
Of course.
And I want to start right from the top. You started by talking about the fact that there is a Gallup's report that speaks about disengagement.
Yes.
And that there's a huge workforce out there that is disengaging.
Yeah.
So could we start from there? Could you share a little more about that?
Of course. So Gallup is a global research company.
Okay.
And every year they do a global research. It's called the Global State of the Workplace.
Okay.
And there they find that 67% of people in the workplace are disengaged. And that is just such a, I would say, alarming number. Yes. Because not only are they disengaged, but 70% of them are sharing that it's because of poor leadership skills.
This is a US-based research agency.
So they're based in DC, but the research, the Global State of Workplace, is globally. So this includes, I would say, almost all countries.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. That statistic very interesting is because this whole podcast is about leadership and empathy at workplace.
Right.
And I've been talking to a lot of leaders, and they themselves are experiencing exactly this. They might not have articulated it, in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to really ask you is that you said to be a high performance leader, one should be able to connect.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you advise, or, how do you mentor people to connect better with their teams?
Of course, such a great question. When we think about connection, we are able to connect, like you and I, if I feel connected to myself.
Wow.
If I'm connected to the present moment. Because if I'm not connected to either myself or the present moment, everything that you will ask me right now, I will think too much. I will think too much about what has happened to me. I would worry if I say the right thing. I would think about, right away, I'll think about the listener who are listening in right now. I would worry, well, do I sound okay? Shall we not look at the question and answers already?
Right.
I'll go out of my own head and think about the past and the future right away.
Right.
So if I don't lead my mind into focusing on having this conversation with you right now, I'll not be able to connect with you. And with that, not connecting with all of you listening. So it's just so important to lead yourself well. And it starts with leading your mind.
Leading your mind.
Leading your mind, leading your mindset.
Right.
For that to lead your thoughts, your behavior, and ultimately your actions.
Okay.
Yeah, the way you do, the way you speak, the way you listen. Because it's not just about listening, it's active listening.
Exactly.
Listen to understand and not listen to, to answer or listen to respond. It's really about understanding. And we cannot understand, like I cannot fully understand you if I'm not connected to the present moment, but also fully understand myself.
Right.
So that what you say is not triggering something that has happened in my past, but objectively knowing what it is that you are saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's so amazing. And that sounds like very practical too. So could you share a little bit about your own journey?
Yeah.
What I can see and what I experienced at the workshop and even right now is you are truly in the present moment. And when even something is thrown at you, you're a little unfazed, you're able to navigate through it very calmly. What has been your journey? You said you were an HR head.
Yeah.
You've worked in, for so many years. So how long did it take you to get where you are today?
Yes, great question. So it took me a decade to just realize that how I was working is not sustainable.
Oh.
So I became general manager at the age of 30. And back then, so I started in Holland, that's where I'm from. So I was a marketing intern in Holland. And in 8 years, I became general manager of a country.
Of the whole country? Wow.
Of Vietnam.
Great.
So then I moved to Hong Kong, then I moved to Vietnam. But in that 10 years of being an intern to a general manager, I was working 100 hours a week. I had no weekends. I was working every evening. And I was the most unconscious person because I wasn't mindful of who I was myself, of my leadership style. I wasn't taking care of myself. I didn't even know how to cook. I was eating out every single day.
That must have been so tough.
It was very tough. But when I was doing that, it wasn't tough because you were just riding the wave of promotion after promotion. The moment you get bored, you get promoted again.
That's a high.
That's a high. That's
that
a
is
dopamine,
a high.
Everyday dopamine.
Yes. Who needs alcohol?
Exactly. Nobody needs that. Or if you think that things are getting tough, you'll move to another country where you reinvent yourself again. New friends, new people, new society, everything becomes new. So at that moment, you don't realize that until the moment that you break.
Right.
And after 10 years, I broke. And I was doing a charity run. And I remember it was in Cambodia and I was running through the temples of Siem Reap. And all of a sudden, while running, you have to focus on breathing because it was in Celsius. I think it was 42 Celsius already.
Oh, wow.
So you have to focus on breathing to not pass out. And when you breathe and you run, you get this runner's high. And I saw my own life story running as a movie. And I was just thinking, who is this woman running the life that she is running? And that was just an epiphany for me to take a step back. And that's when I packed my suitcase. Well, after half a year, I'm very responsible. So I gave the company a half year notice. But that's when I took a step back and became a yoga teacher.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then till now has been how many years?
That moment until now is 12 years ago.
It's been 12 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's something, so it took me a decade to fail, succeed, entitled, fail as a human being.
How beautifully put.
And then it takes a decade to know what you know by studying, but you also have to put it into practice. So the moment I became a yoga teacher and studied holistic health, after 18 months, I decided to go back to L'Oreal. And I've worked another 8 years.
That is so inspiring to hear. Because, you hear all these stories of, someone quits their corporate job and then just lives in the mountains, or then opens a little store and just, or a bakery. But a lot of people want to stay in the corporate world. They just want to slow down.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm loving about what you just shared.
But that's what reality is. We are wired to have true connection. So I could have stayed being a yoga teacher and moved to Costa Rica and teach yoga every day.
Right.
But I will also be away from the things that I love, the people I love, the place I truly love, which is Manhattan, and to be close to, getting a direct flight and not having all this layover because my family are still in Holland, some of them in Hong Kong. So just still have this urban lifestyle.
Right.
And I truly believe that you practice where life is happening. You don't practice in a remote island or a remote mountain.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. One last question.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who want to be more empathetic in their workplaces. Could you share any kind of tips that they could apply to themselves or how they could go about it?
Yes, well, I think it's really, when you talk about mindfulness,
Yes.
it's not just mindful of the present moment. It's more that you are catching yourself the moment that you know that you go and have your monkey mind. And we all have that monkey mind.
Yes, we do.
The moment that you are thinking about the other person, to do good, to be of service,
Right.
and to help. In the end, the act of kindness and to support another human being is the moment you can get out of your monkey mind and do something for someone else. So when it comes to empathy, it starts by cultivating awareness coupled with compassion, coupled with being kinder. So in order to cultivate compassion is to also know that the other person is hurting as well. Whether you use is hurting or you use is anxious, like you can fill it in, let's
Or
say,
stressed.
or stressed, exactly. That you are not better than the other person, and the other person is going through pain as well. The moment that you think about that and you want to be more empathetic, you are going out of your own issues,
Right.
and think of how can I help the other person.
Right.
Then you are putting yourself into the other person and thinking from the other point of view.
Right.
A good leader or a team member is always elevating themselves to see a bit of a bigger picture so they can get out of their own mind and actually see the perspective of the other person. The more that you are grounded yourself, the more you are able to do that. Because if not, the other person's perspective is hard if you keep being in your own body.
Right.
But if you believe that your physical body is one of the bodies, you are able to elevate yourself so you're able to see something bigger.
Right.
And with that, practicing awareness, mindfulness is a start,
Yes.
because then you're able to calm yourself, practice something that we call, impermanence, that nothing is permanent. And then with that, you are letting go of the grip and you become lighter. So you can see better, you can see the perspective of someone else. And with that, you will be kinder. You will be able to show more empathy because you want to do the right thing.
Yes, that's true. And I truly believe that. I don't think there's any manager that wakes up in the morning and says, I want to be nasty to everyone today. Everyone wants to be. But at that moment, the stress, it gets to your body, you feel tensed, and then you yourself can't control your emotions. So if you can't self-regulate, it's very difficult to be empathetic or compassionate to everybody else.
I love how you say self-regulate, because very often the snappy comments or lashing out is just because of you being tired, you skipping your lunch, you being dehydrated. Like there's so many things, and stress.
Wow,
of course.
it sounds so simple, right?
In the end, it is the simple things. It's the little things that causes big things. But if you know that, you can also think about, then I can practice those little things. It's scientifically proven by you practicing the little things, you are able to create big ripple effect. So that is I would say, comforting thought that
Yes.
we are able to control and improve other people's engagement, happiness, and everything related to the workplace. We are able to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I cannot thank you for your time. I literally asked her just 10 minutes ago, would you be okay to sit down and have this conversation with me? And she just said yes. So that is so gracious. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.